countries which are more prone to use fossil fuels, it is more difficult to go ahead with the plan. We also had the veto from the Polish government in one of the summits last year for the proposal of going climate neutral in 2050. One of the reasons for that was the need of finance. And this is why we gathered here some very special people to discuss this topic. How to manage a situation like this when we agree on the goal but also don't see many tools in our shed, basically to be able to address the issue. And without further talking about the topic, I would like to have Adam Czertatyński on behalf of the Ministry of Climate to speak about the needs and to bring out what is the discussion in Brussels and in Warsaw right now.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's always for me when I have to do this sort of introductions about climate policy and what we are doing for reducing our emissions and transforming, modernizing our economy. And I'm thinking of the last European Council in December. I feel I always must start with a sort of a disclaimer and clarification about what exactly did we commit or not commit to in December. In December, the European Council adopted conclusions that were supported by all 28 at the time member states that foresee a goal for the whole EU to achieve climate neutrality by 2050. And obviously, Poland, being party to the Paris Agreement, is committed to also reduce emissions and to ultimately reach climate neutrality in line with the Paris Agreement. At the same time, the European Council recognized that Poland, with 80% mix, has a bit longer road ahead than other member states, and therefore cannot be committed to reaching that target as far as Poland is concerned in 2050. If you look at the commitments that are taken by different member states, I often take the Swedish example, which is because Sweden has almost zero emission energy mix today, and has announced they want to be climate neutral by 2045. Given that we have 80% coal in our mix, it is reasonable to assume that it will take us slightly more than 5 more years than it will take Sweden to become climate neutral. But ultimately, I believe we can get there, and obviously the key to get there is to make sure that we do have the appropriate measures, the appropriate resources that are mobilized to get us to that goal. We have a bit of this tendency in Europe to spend a lot of energy discussing about an overarching target and looking with much less care about how are we actually going to reach that target. What does it mean that we have to do to reach our target? And the closer we're getting to climate neutrality, the closer we're getting to zero, the more important it is that we coordinate our actions in the EU as well on these measures that we all agree need to be taken to reach that goal. And a crucial element of these measures is obviously mobilizing the appropriate level of financing. The Commission has published earlier this year a sustainable investment plan to mobilize a huge amount of financing for climate, 1 trillion euros. It's actually not that big. It's actually quite small. It's actually 1/3 of what the Commission assumes is needed to fund the necessary investments to reach our current 2030 target. And at the same time, we're also discussing about increasing those targets and increasing them quite significantly. So it is very, very crucial that we do have the appropriate tools to mobilize these to mobilize these resources for the transition. And what tools are we looking at? And in this slide, the discussions we're going to have today for me will be very interesting, and I hope there will be good ideas coming out of this room that can inspire our work both in Poland and maybe in Brussels as well. Obviously, there is a big role of public finance to mobilize those investments, but it's clear that, as I'm saying, I'm talking also about investments mobilized. It's not going to be all public money. A lot of it is going to be private money. This transition is in many sectors is creating new opportunities, new business models on which companies can make money. So in a way that a lot of the investments that are required can be financed just by the forces of the market. But the question is, what do we need to do as policymakers? What do we need to do to make sure that these investments are indeed mobilized? And we can obviously use taxes. We can also use public spending. There was a couple of years, we can discuss obviously also the VAT. A couple of years ago we were discussing in Brussels new regulations around VAT. I remember some of our colleagues were advertising how much they were doing for a greener VAT, and they were explaining we have changed our VAT system, and from now on the repair shops are going to be subject to a lower rate of VAT. So I went back quickly to check with my colleagues how does it look in Poland, and I discovered for us it's actually the case since 20 or 30 years that we have lower VAT on repairs in Poland. So I think there is a lot of things that we are doing in Poland already for a greener economy that we are not necessarily aware of, and that's important to become aware of that. That's one, but it's also important to be looking at what more can we do. So to conclude again, I would like to say that for me as a representative of the Polish government, it's really important to be here to participate in that in launching that discussion, and I hope there will be concrete, robust and effective solutions that would allow us to be in the vanguard of a just transition towards climate neutrality. And I wish you all very fruitful discussions today, and very much looking forward for the outcome of that discussion.
So stay with us as long as you can. I know that there are many important issues we're here to debate a bit longer. So I wanted to start the first panel, which is more of an academic panel. So it's not that we're going to discuss and I'm going to ask questions. There's going to be a short statement, and then we're going to have chances for questions and answers also with the public. So first off is Zsolt Darvas. Am I pronouncing it correct? Almost. Okay. Sorry. So the senior fellow at Droga, a think tank in Brussels. You wrote many pieces about greening the fiscal policy spectrum, and I wanted to hear your take on that. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. Indeed, it's a very delicate situation, but I hope we will have a good discussion and nobody will get any infection going home. Turning to the subject, as the Vice Minister already said, that the Commission estimates that there should be about 3 trillion euros additional investment in green issues needed in the next decade, which is a very, very large amount. The the Commission aimed to mobilize only 1 trillion, only, in quote, but this is due to the fact that the EU budget is very small, and the EU budget spends on many different items. So probably that's the most that the Commission would be able to mobilize. But that's just 1/3 what is needed, and much more will be needed. And this additional investment relates both to the public sector and also to the private sector. I mean, certainly the public sector cannot do this on its own. I mean, a large share of investment has to go to research, to networks, and so on. But also the public sector has to do a lot of investment, not just considering public buildings, improving the energy efficiency of public buildings, but also for, let's say, supporting solar and wind energies. I think also the role of supporting is a very important role for the public sector. Also, cleaning transportation is an absolutely important issue. I mean, transportation is one of the biggest polluter, and the public sector also has a major role in that. But in addition to the public sector, also the private sector has to be involved. So clearly the magnitude of additional investment is really huge, and I have to say at this stage we don't really see where this investment will come from. So the big question is how to achieve that, this investment, and also the topic I was particularly asked to do is what the fiscal rules and EU fiscal frameworks and also national fiscal frameworks can do to achieve these goals. Now on the